9 months ago, we convened with the team members of Zerion, and we started strategizing like what can we do, what like the next big thing that we can do to make the user experience better. And we've always were passionate about, but with Zerion, we've started with the idea that like it's gotta be useful and easy to interact with DeFi protocols, to know where your money is at, and all of that has been at the core of Zerion. And we realized that without us being able to influence the direction of the underlying chain, it's really hard to make any meaningful UX improvements.
Okay.
Because if you're just a wallet, you don't really control much of the user experience stack. You only control the signing flow and the custody flow, which is relatively little because a lot of the interactions actually happens on chain, and the capabilities that dApps can leverage are limited to what the chain provides them, and there is nothing that wallets can do. And it started to change with 4337 a little bit, but for example, the gas market is universal for all the users, and the gas is still like the biggest UX blocker across the board, and it became more and more complicated with the layer 2 emergence. So now you have different tokens as gas, and people have like, you need to bridge every time you're transacting on the new layer 2. So the fragmentation really became a big issue, and even though the cost went down, and that's amazing news, and I think it allowed for more applications to emerge, at the same time, the fact that gas still exists for the end user, I think it's a major blocker of on-chain adoption. So we figured that, and we decided that we want to solve that. And this is the, I guess, the origin of Zero Network, and hence the name.
So
pretty obvious, I guess.
I mean, two questions. First, like, aren't you able to subsidize gas in other layer 2s as well?
We can, but there are some issues with that. So the first one, there's no elegant solution we can do that, because we would need to actually send money directly to their wallets to subsidize the fees. Because most of the user, I mean, account abstraction in its current form is not working. Like the 4337 did not get any traction outside of like separate singled out applications. So most of the users still use EOA wallets because that allows them to have composable experience across all of the different networks. And because of that, like there's no good solution that we would be able to leverage to subsidize the fees for the users. And second part is that this is us subsidizing the actions on networks where we don't have any, I guess, upside in some sense. So it's like the cost actually of making these transactions is now with Ethereum blobs is very low. But what the layer 2s charge you is actually much, much higher. So they do take a pretty big margin, which goes directly to Coinbase or to Optimism. Optimism is a better example, but we have like corporate networks, like OPBNB, OKX is working on their own chain. So that essentially just goes directly into their pockets, so us paying them for using the infrastructure. So I think that's like the second part of this equation. I think in the future with 3074, it's going to become more and more seamless on other chains, but we wanted to start on Zero and make Zero actually like the best user experience that we can achieve within by verticalizing with the Zerion experience.
Okay. Just like a bit of a side note with the account abstraction, like why do you think it hasn't taken off so much?
I think there are many reasons for that. I think two that I see, and I'm a big fan, and actually we didn't talk about that, but on Zero, every EOA is an account abstraction wallet.
Okay.
So that's the major upgrade in terms of UX, and this is what allows us to do free transactions, actually. But speaking of like 4337 as a standard, I think the issue was that it's not composable in the same way across all the layer 2, so you need to deploy a contract every time you go to a new layer 2. Someone has to manage that. Someone needs to maintain their state across all of the different layer 2s.
Would this be something that the layer 2s themselves have to do?
No, that would be like the wallet's job to maintain all of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think there were attempts like Avocado Wallet and now the Smart Wallet by Coinbase. It's a great attempt to do that. But it's a big lift on the wallet side to maintain access to, I guess, the same experience as in that you get with EOA. So EOA is very simple. It works the same way for dApps as well. So they can deploy on any chain, and they can expect that it's going to work. With for 337, fragments the experience further. And second, you need to make people migrate over, and people never want to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's only targeting the new users. But here's another problem with 4327. Most of the account abstracted wallets were asking them to sponsor, like to actually pay upfront for creating this wallet in some sense. So you would need to deposit funds first before this wallet is even deployed. So there are like challenges with the cost versus EOAs are just free. You can create as many, and people don't really care in the beginning about like the wallet and setup. They care about the content that they want to buy, mint, game that they want to play. So yeah, their first experience is, I think, not the end of the story. I think the experience of like overall use and converting them into active users of Web3 is more challenging. And that's why they all stick to centralized exchanges, because that's the main point why they're coming to the space.
Okay, so the reason why you're creating your own layer 2, I guess like the main reason, is to improve that UX for users and easily abstract fees and subsidize fees for them.
Yeah, in some sense, yes, and I think that's just the first step in the journey. So we would like to say that we want to make on-chain experience enjoyable and rewarding, and I think not many people have experimented with that to date. So all of the gas model, no one really was doing any innovation in that regard to date. So all of the things, like all of the networks work kind of very similarly. They just copy paste Ethereum's approach, and you getting charged basically the gas fee for any kind of action. But I think it's not directly related to the value that you're creating to the network. So some users create a lot of spam, and that actually increases the cost of operating your network, increases makes the whole experience for end users worse, because you see like a bunch of weird NFTs with promotions coming to your wallet. All of that is like not useful for the network, while some actions are directly benefiting the quality of the network. So I think there's a lot more innovation that we can do in that capacity, while still maintaining the permissionless nature of it. So we're not removing the gas. So if you do want to transact, you're able to transact on Zero. So it's like fully permissionless, while some actions will be able to subsidize, and which we think are benefiting the user experience and the quality of the network. And initially it's going to be us as well, and then we will want to expand that further so others can do similar benefiting actions to the network, so the network can grow together.
What do you mean specifically?
Yeah, so we're any dApp can sponsor transactions, right?
Okay.
So initially for Zero and wallet users, it's going to be us doing all of that job, but we don't want to limit that to just ourselves. So in the future, we want other players to be sponsoring the transactions for the end users, maintaining the continuity of user experience, but not putting all of the cost on just ourselves.
So what would be the reason for other dApps to subsidize users?
Because they would be making money from other ways, and this is how I guess most of the Web2 products work. So if you look at the infrastructure, you don't pay for AWS as a user directly. You pay your subscription fee to Netflix, and Netflix does all of the infrastructure work. And I think this is how it should be. But because of the a little eroded nature of crypto incentives, we got used to the fact that users are paying the infrastructure costs. dApps are not paying pretty much anything, and they're passing all of and they're getting actually grants primarily from the chains to operate. So there is no incentive for dApps really to build a sustainable business model. And no one is really trying to focus on the actual users. Everyone's okay with having millions of farmers just reap the rewards, distribute them, recycle something again, and get a grant. And so that's, I think, a bit of a dead end. So we got to get out of that somehow. So we've got the users, we'll be able to bring them via the Zero wallet to the dApps if they can figure out how, and we'll be doing all we can to make content creators and people who deploy in dApps benefit from that the most, and that's the rewarding part of the Zero network. So we want them to earn, but not from like just, I guess, grants and stuff. So we want them to contribute to the network, bring more activity, bring more users, and get rewarded for that.
Okay. Okay. So for the Ethereum wallet to work in this layer 2, will you require dApps to deploy on Zero as well for those transactions to work?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a separate network, so you would need to deploy on Zero as well. We obviously don't need, we're not going to be restricting people just to Zero. So if a dApp exists on another network, that's completely okay. And we expect actually less, we don't need to build most chains approach that as they come in and they say, okay, like here's our ecosystem or like ecosystem is coming. The way we want to approach that is focus on why users are actually coming. So users are not coming after dApps, and that's like how we see the world happening. People don't come after OpenSea. OpenSea is a tool. They're coming after a certain NFT collection that someone told them about, or they're not going after Zora. They just happen to find a mint that someone shared with them, or similarly like the game. So there are certain, and I think that distinction matters. And most of the chains just try to focus on the dApps versus we want to focus on the end creators of unique experiences, unique content, and we want to make sure that Zerion helps these users actually get the rewards. And we're going to be building the whole, how do I explain that? It's and obviously a lot of that is like a work in progress. So we have the direction, but we want to direct all of the users that are on Zerion to mint stuff that is happening like on Zero network. So more and more users would come in, and like more rewards that can be generated by the creators.
Okay, but like for example, if the action your user wants to do is buy a meme coin or something, will you need to have a DEX launch on Zero to do that?
Yeah, okay. We definitely will need to have the dApps, and we believe that's just going to happen. So every time there's a new layer 2, I mean, we already have a lot of people coming to us and like saying we want to deploy, we want to be first XYZ on Zero, and that's great. So we obviously want to support as many of them, and that's just I kind of feel that this is the steps that happen with every layer 2. So people come, like dApps are able to deploy, smaller teams are able to fork a lot of the stuff and just deploy as well to be the first. So we believe that the dApp ecosystem is going to happen, but the important bit is what is going to be traded on this DEX, is what's going to be like the NFTs that you want to have. Yeah. So that's the crucial bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And that makes actually dApps more useful as well. So if you're the first dApp and everyone is first DEX and everyone is creating new meme coins on your DEX now, so you're getting more trading volumes. This is how you actually earn as a dApp.
What do you think about just like the potential friction that having another another layer added to like the user experience?
I think at this point is like there's no additional friction. So there are still many layer 2s. It's already like a very fragmented experience. We care about our users, and I think it's a similar question to like when we were launching a wallet, people were asking like, oh, there's so many wallets. Why do you need another one? And I think with layer 2s, it's the same. So obviously there are a million layer 2s that are not going to make it. We can be honest here. But for us, we believe that it's a long-term project. It's not like it's an important part of the journey. It's an important part of verticalizing the user experience and creating better, actually like being able to create a better experience, and that's why that's all I can say. We just think that people are going to love using it. We're going to be onboarding users to that, and over time, it's going to show the rewards. Okay.
What stage of the launch are you in? I think you're in testnet still. Like, when's mainnet?
And when token, right?
When token, that's the next question.
So the testnet is already live. We have over 250,000 transactions. People are starting to do something there. We're not, I guess, incentivizing or anything. So this is mainly for the infrastructure partners that we have to start deploying stuff and testing out the flows. it's still missing a few components that are new that we want to add before mainnet. So mainnet is currently planned for early fall, let's say that.
Okay.
I don't want to be too specific.
Okay, sure. You mentioned you're not incentivizing users. Are you planning to at some point?
Yeah, we're planning to, as we launch the layer 2, we plan to have more, let's just say loyalty campaign.
Okay.
Yeah.
No points?
It's more focused, like with a focus on the rewards that you're getting along the way. So points are like usually used as a mechanic to distribute airdrop. That's the only like goal of it. We want to approach that slightly differently, but yeah, we'll I guess have more data about that later.
Okay,
as we launch.
interesting. Right. And then obviously, that should lead to an airdrop at some point, right?
I'm not commenting on tokens.
Okay. Oh, come on. All right. I'll let you off the hook. What are some of the dApps that you already have lined up that will be kind of the first to launch?
Yeah, so we have a few, so we have Dodo and 1inch, like basically DEXs / infrastructure and that. We've been mainly working on RPC providers like oracles and things like this, like basically infrastructure that enables other people to deploy. We've got questing campaigns like Galaxy Layer 3 as well. And there's on the NFT side, we're working it's not confirmed yet, but we're working on a few minting platforms.
Okay.
Yeah.